3-0 it finishes in that first leg semi-final. Frank Leboeuf is with us. However, Craig, often when Manchester United have a win, and a big win like this, the fans ask, where's Craig today? Why isn't he in today? Well, here he is. Here he is to talk about Manchester United getting a big win in Europe.
Well, we're going to talk about United, we're going to talk about Tottenham, 14th and 16th in the Premier League, pulling off a couple of big victories, particularly this one in Bilbao against Athletic Club, in a great stadium with a hostile atmosphere against the fourth best team in Spain, a very good side against a very poor side. And it's a huge night for Man United, and some great performances. Obviously, the red card's a turning point. Before that, you know, United had the ball in the net, it was offside, and then Athletic Club dominated, and you thought, right, this is kind of going to go one way. Can they finish off in the final third and be clinical? They were not, and then they got punished, and then obviously the big call for the red card just changed the narrative of the game. The one thing I would say is I've seen enough of United this season to know that at 3-0, I don't think this game is over. I don't think this tie is over. But Athletic Club have got a lot of work to do, because if they lose to Man United over two legs, that's embarrassing for them, because this is a very, very poor Man United side. So a lot of work to do. I don't think it's quite over yet if Athletic Club play the way we know they can play. But it's a big mountain to climb, and a great night for Manchester United.
Now, obviously, it's never easy to go a man down, but as Craig's saying, this is an Athletic Club that we look at them and we know they're usually a well-organised side, they're a trustworthy side, they don't make big mistakes, and that's why they are where they are. Tonight just wasn't their night, Ali.
You know, we show the intensity of the fans leading up to the match, and the environment and the electricity, and sometimes a big crowd like that, a big moment like that, you feel elevated by that crowd. But there are also times in which you almost get too excited as a player. And that's the sense that I got from Athletic Club. They were excited by the moment, but they couldn't quite calm down to then play the match, play the game, allow the game to come to them, where you can find a pass, when you can make a decision, when you can see the full picture in the final third, when you can execute in the final third, which they did not do. Iñaki Williams was so excited to get in behind and to go and finish a chance, and he doesn't. Alex Berenguer, the ball falls to him on top of the 18-yard box, and everybody's scrambling from Manchester United. It's just about passing into the back of the net. Let me smash it into the back of the net. And it's all that excitement that you feel as San Mamés that I think played against Athletic Club today. And some of that had to do with some of the reckless fouling and some of the challenges. And Danny Vivian got himself out of position a couple of times. And he is the one that ends up grabbing Højlund from behind. And then at that point, once the red card happens, everything changed. Everything changed, obviously, for Manchester United, but everything changed for Athletic Club, and they couldn't quite organize themselves. While they were trying to figure out, okay, fine, it's 2-0, we're men down, what are some of the changes that we need to make? And Valverde hadn't even made the changes when they were already giving up a third goal. And that puts it, in my opinion, beyond doubt, because I just don't think that Athletic Club, while they are a good team, while they have been good in La Liga, they're not explosive in the attack. And in order to score 3 goals away from home, you have to be explosive. They were not explosive today, and I don't think they'll be explosive next week either.
And just before that red card and penalty, Frank, I know you love a bit of controversy. There was the potential handball, Alejandro Garnacho. What did you make of that moment? What did you think of it?
Really? You know, football is an entertainment, and when you see the referee too many times for too long and being in the center of the attention, there is something wrong. And this is what happened today. I mean, great atmosphere, everybody was expecting a great game, and we had 30 minutes of a great game. Because after, nothing to blame on Manchester United. They did what they had to do, but the referee changed the game, the people in the VAR changed the game for no reason, because there was a simple handball. That was easy to see, that was easy to signal, and they didn't do that. That's a shame. That's a real shame. We're talking about semi-final of the Europa League. I always thought when I was a player, I don't want to lose because of a bad referee decision. That's a real bad referee decision. That's unfortunate for Atletico Bilbao fans and players.
But they have the best defensive record in Spanish football at the moment. Could have shut up shop. We nick one on the counter. As soon as the red card happens, make the changes. readjust, camp in. Could you score 2 at Old Trafford? And we could look back at Man United's fixtures this season and look at teams that have scored 2 or more at Old Trafford. I bet there's quite a few who aren't as good as Athletic Club. But they left themselves open to actually losing 4 or 5, which they could easily have done in the end. I know they were missing Sunset, who's one of the most prolific attacking goal-scoring midfielders in Spain, and he was injured and all of that. But they just were too open after they went down to 10 men. It's not a disaster. Yeah, in terms of making it a head-to-head and, making it a football match, it makes it difficult. But defensively, we've seen many, many teams over the years lose a man quite early and be difficult to break down and difficult to beat. Unfortunately for Athletic Club, they will not, and they will have to be in Manchester, and they will have to be a lot better going forward. I would imagine, is it Sandy, the front man? Sanadi. Imagine he'll be lucky to see a blade of grass at Old Trafford with his performance tonight, even before there was a red card.
It was a surprise, though. Everybody picked Athletic yesterday going into this game. Everybody thought it would be them, and you can understand why everybody thought it would be them.
So why did you think it was a surprise then?
No, it's a surprise, this result.
Well, no, yes. Look, when we make these predictions, which we're asked to do seemingly on a daily basis, we have to take into consideration what we have seen from Manchester United. And it's impossible to ignore what they have been this whole season. And while people may focus on, well, look what they did against Lyon. Well, it was a great comeback, but they were playing against 10 men. And they put themselves in the situation in which they did. Eventually, they found a way back, and eventually they had that magical moment and they get through onto the semifinals. But it's not like they were in full control of what was happening. When you look at Athletic Club and you think about what some of the things that they do well, they can press higher the field, and they have intensity, and they have energy, and they have the crowd, and they have momentum, and they have the motivation of Europa League final is going to be played in San Mamés, which would be a home match for Athletic Club. All of that is coming into play, and you're thinking, you add 2 and 2, and you go, yeah, equals 4. It feels like Athletic Club is a superior side to Manchester United. But what I would say about Manchester United today is that today, while all of that was going on in the stadium, they were very good about sticking to what they were today. And a counter-attacking team early on when the match was 11v11. And then beyond that, very efficient, very effective. Always dangerous through Garnacho. Always danger when Bruno Fernandes is getting the ball in transition and he's finding the outlet and he's finding passes. Højlund, while he doesn't score a goal, but throws his body around and makes himself a physical presence and was, to some degree, goal dangerous, and so much so that Danny Vivian has to take him down. There are certain things that Manchester United did very well today. Casemiro was really good. Ugarte was really good. But we haven't always seen this from Manchester United. So then I imagine that Manchester United are sitting in front of the TV saying, I told you so. Told you what? This is a team that has struggled over the course of the season time and time again. But today, they happened to get it right, and it also coincided with Athletic Club not playing at the highest level, and it also coincided with a red card. They took advantage of it, good on Manchester United, and now they have to see it out at home.
2 things we do know, Frank. Manchester United in this competition, unbeaten in the Europa League, and Bruno Fernandes once again leading by example.
Yes, great game from him. But you have to add, as Ali said, Casemiro and Ugarte in the middle of the park doing the job and being very efficient as well. But that's another Manchester United. Again, you have to take some aspect of the game, so we change and went to the favors of Manchester United. But they've done what they had to do. They've been committed at the beginning, even if, again, Berenguer and Inaki Williams should have scored the goal, and I think it would have been a different game, totally different game. But it's part of football, and it's part of the game. They fought hard, and they believe in their chances, and they had what they deserve. I mean, they fought hard, and as Craig said, they could have won 5-0 today. So nothing to complain about Manchester United today, nothing to be critical about. They did what they had to do, but of course, that wasn't expected at all. And the scenario of the game is completely different from what we were expecting as well. So it's a very nice game, very good game from Manchester United. But we're not going against our predictions, because normally it should have been a different game.
Oh, we'll see.
The one thing I would say is, though, in terms of the second leg, I know they put Leon out, but if memory serves me right, United at Old Trafford, and this is how vulnerable teams can be, particularly ones that have struggled this season. United were 2-0 up against Lyon, then it was 2-2, then it was 4-2. They were out. They did come back. I mean, a magnificent night at Old Trafford. Harry Maguire being sort of the hero. But it was last gasp sort of desperation stuff. Lyon scored 4 at Old Trafford. And so there is a vulnerability about them, and there's a vulnerability about Tottenham when we get to them. And I think that it's the one thing, if you want a bit of hope, if you're an athletic club player or supporter, or indeed Ernesto Valverde, is that they have been vulnerable this season. And if there is that vulnerability, maybe Athletic Club can take advantage of it. It's unlikely. It's not quite the, who was it? Real Madrid and Arsenal was a sort of another one, and we're thinking, right,
are we grabbing your head?
No, I'm not quite grabbing my head, but are we going to get a response from Real Madrid? We did not. In a sort of lesser terms, Europa League standard, are we going to get a response from Athletic Club? Again, we'll find out. But driving seat, Man United. And bearing in mind the season they've had, bearing in mind Ruben Amorim's job has already been talked about. Is he the man? Maybe this is too much for him. It's a big club, the system, all that. This is going to take an awful lot of pressure on if he can get to this final and win it.
Maybe it is Spurs. However, it is fair to say that Spurs took care of business once again. They turned it on when they needed to.
Hold on.
He was talking,
hold on.
All right.
Let me stop you there. Spurs took care of business once again?
Once again.
When was the other again this season?
When it comes to these bigger games, why are they turning up to these bigger games, like we're seeing in the Europa League?
Well, hold on. Where are they in the Premier League?
1-0.
They're 16th in the Premier League. They haven't turned up to any big games.
And it's like
much
as
this
if
season.
they've already said goodbye to the Premier League, yet they know something's at stake here.
You're digging.
Frankfurt as well. What's going on? Why are they turning it on here in this competition that we're not seeing from them in the Premier League?
Consistency. Some of the other teams in this competition are not that strong. That's why we have potentially 2 very poor Premier League teams that are going to be in the final. And I suppose it is last chance saloon for some of these players, and particularly for the manager. But I have absolutely no faith whatsoever that this Tottenham side will go there to Norway. Because I know it's got our colleague Jan Fjørtoft excited on social media. Spurs will need more than 2. Spurs will need more than 2. Then they get 3, and it's now back in the balance with that late goal. I sense it's back in the balance because this side at home with the crowd behind them and Tottenham's fragility, I have no confidence that if Bodø Glimt get 1 or 2 early in this game, or maybe 1 in the first half and 1 in the second half, and it's back tied, that this Tottenham side will not crumble. I've seen it too many times this season. So, great result. Disappointing to lose a goal late on, because 3-0 would have been obviously great. But I can't sit here and say, yeah, Tottenham could go there, shut up shop, defend, be clever, and get the job done. I suppose in a sense they did a very good job in Frankfurt, particularly late on, of sort of stemming the tide and defended well. But I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it in the semi-final. They're favourites, of course they're favourites to go through, but are we going to see that sort of fragility once more that has been their Achilles heel all season?
They've given themselves a little cushion here.
No, look, listen, 3-1 is a very good result. Of course it is. I think this tie is less over than the Man United Athletic Club one.
Are you denying us in Manchester United Tottenham final?
I couldn't give a stuff. I'm a neutral. I couldn't give a stuff who's in the final. I'm hoping the final falls on a day that I've got planned concert. So I don't know. All I'm saying is Spurs, untrustworthy. Whether it's an all-English file or not, couldn't give a stuff. But I'm not putting my faith in Tottenham seeing this game out. I am not.
Can they see the tie out, Frank?
I mean, I have to be optimistic because don't forget that today our producer is a crazy Spurs fan, so you have to be nice to him, you know. Otherwise, it's going to be a black window very soon, you know, Craig. But no, but I think they've been serious. I mean, I was impressed today by the performance that they had. Yeah, maybe Bodø Glimt weren't the best team in the world, but they showed in a previous round that they were capable of beating any team around Europe and good teams around Europe. So you have to consider that it's a great performance from Spurs until the 83rd minutes. And maybe the only chance that Bodø Glimt had today. But because of that goal, they are in danger. They really are in danger. If they don't keep the level of performance that they had today, they can be surprised about that team. And as Craig mentioned, the pressure is going to be hard, and the Bodø Glimt are going to play very high on the field. If they score one goal very early, that's going to be a different mind and a friend of mine and the set, and they will have to adjust. I don't know if they're capable of adjust anything this season.
Yeah, because Stevie was saying that you can't just turn it on and off as a player. But can you? Because it looks like that's what they're doing. It does look as though they're turning it on and off. We're seeing two different Spurs in two different competitions here. Is it a conscious thing?
I think they've got some players back as well.
Yeah, and
which has helped.
We're still talking about Bodø Glimt, right? And
yeah, no Norwegian side's ever been this far in a major men's tournament.
We're still talking about a team that has had a historically good run in this competition. Never seen before. And while I don't want to sound disrespectful to Bodø Glimt, the fact that we're questioning whether a 2-goal lead is enough from Spurs going into Norway, I think tells you not so much what Bodø Glimt can do, but it's much more about our lack of belief and confidence in Spurs. And much like Manchester United, that lack of belief and confidence in Spurs comes from week in, week out, seeing this team play in the manner in which they do. So this turning on and off sort of thing with Spurs, I don't believe in it. I think there is something to be said about cup competition, something to be said about the fact that you don't have to worry about the length of the season. You just focus on this game, and if we get through this game, then now we start advancing, we generate momentum in the cup. And guess what? We don't really have to think about the league because the league is gone. I think well documented, it's already been said. They're 16th on the table. If you're 16th on the table, in any table in the world, you haven't had a good season. You seem to be focusing on this. And in focusing this, I think it gives this team purpose. I don't know if you can define it as turning it on and off, because just as quickly as this team can look good and beat Bodø Glimt, we're also saying, in the same breath, maybe they go to Norway and struggle. We think that Spurs will have enough, but none of us have certainty that that's actually the case. None of us, whether they turn it on, off, or not.
I mean, even if they go through and go on to the final and win it, and that's still a big if. That's Champions League football and a Europa League victory. Is that enough to say Ange Postecoglou's still the right guy for the job? Does Daniel Levy say, OK, I'm going to ignore the 38 league games and their position? Because we sat here and we talked about Erik ten Hag winning the FA Cup. And we sat here and said, there's no progression. He won the Carabao Cup, he won the FA Cup. There's no progression because the league table doesn't lie. The performances don't lie. And there is a sense that even if Spurs go on and be successful in this competition, I think most of the fan base would be joyous, obviously, and celebrate that great achievement, but probably in the longer term would want a change of management because of the league form. So it's a really difficult position to be in for Tottenham. And I suppose for Daniel Levy, because he's going to have to balance it up if indeed they go on and win it, which, as I say, is a long shot. I think at the minute it's looking like a Man United Tottenham final, obviously, but that could change. We know that. But it's looking like a Man United Tottenham final, and good luck picking the winner out of that one.
Lamine Yamal fever has taken over the headlines. It's taken over world of football right now. The front pages are full of him. With Lamine, everything is possible. Marvellous. Mamma mia. Oh, my goodness. Yes, everybody talking about Lamine Yamal, including his own manager, Hansi Flick.
He's special. He's special, and also I said it also a lot, often before. He's a genius. You know, during the game when I look to the match from the outside, so it's not like, you know, when you see after the game, you see the situations he has normally in the match, but then you see all the details, and it's unbelievable how we do it.
Lamine Yamal. Frank, these two guys were on for this game, Barcelona against Inter. Just want to get a quick word from you. We're hearing everybody waxing lyrical about this young player. Obviously, we've known about him for a while, but he really, really did get everybody all over world football talking with that performance against Inter.
Yeah, and France included. Every newspapers and TV shows talking about football, they talk about Lamine Yamal and his skills on his goal. I keep my fingers crossed he doesn't get any injury. At a certain point, it will become a business. And Messi has done that, Ronaldo, Zidane before, and you have to be able to switch a little bit the way you think about football, but keep that enthusiasm. He has the enthusiasm because he's 17, but how he's going to behave and hold on his attitude at 22, 23, I don't know. I think he doesn't know. I just want to wish to see that guy for 10 years, 15 years at that level with the same spirit, because what the hell of an entertainment every time he plays and he's on the field.
Frank, we're often asking you, well, you're often telling us that when there's players of this genius, this magnificent, when you're a defender, the only thing you can do is kick them. You're not kicking a 17-year-old, though, are you?
Yeah, you're just not allowed.
Yes. Unfortunately, you have to. I play against David Trezeguet. I play against Thierry Henry. They were 20 years old. They were very young, and they were playing in Monaco. And I can tell you, those guys were so good, so fast for Thierry Henry that you have no other choices if you want to cope with the situation. Well, to talk to them first in a bad way, and then to show them that your words stands for your actions, and that's what it is. But yeah, it's not fair, it's not nice, but you use the tools that you can have, and those guys are so exceptional that you don't have many other options.
The trouble is a lot of people watch Barcelona in the Champions League, but don't watch the Liga. You know, for whatever reason, they're engrossed in the Premier League or the Bundesliga or Serie A. We watch it pretty much every week. I sat here on the La Liga set a month ago, I think, with a chat with Sid Lowe and Luis Garcia, and I said, look, I honestly believe at this moment in time, not off the back of what he's doing in the Champions League, off the back of what he did for Spain, what he did for Barca last year, what he's doing for Barca this year, what he's doing on a consistent basis, at 17, he's the best player in the world at the moment. Now, there are other players playing well. I mean, we're going to talk about PSG. And they have many of them, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, the list goes on. The Real Madrid players haven't performed very well this year. Rafinha's had a great season, Lewandowski's had a great season, but nobody is caressing the ball and entertaining the crowd and delivering in the final third like this 17-year-old. Nobody. And I honestly believe that's a big weight for anybody to have on their shoulders. But I do feel at the moment he is the hottest, best, most talented player delivering end product, entertainment and skill level in the game. And we saw that yesterday once again. DiMarco, Mkhitaryan, Acerbi, was it Bastoni? They all came over to have a nibble and help out. And to a man, none of them, for the most part, got close to this young man.
Absolutely.
And here's the thing. It's not a luxury for Barcelona that they have Lamine Yamal. It's a need that they have Lamine Yamal. Because this is a team that now is dependent upon his performances. It's not we're carrying the 17-year-old with us as part of a total team and he's just a nice piece to have. No. He's an angular piece and everybody else is benefiting from his presence on the field. So Rafinha has had the season that he has had, in part due to his own work, but also because Lamine Yamal is always trying to find him with a little outside of the football that we have seen all the time this season. It has happened time and time again. Lewandowski has had a rebirth to his career that seemed to be going in the wrong direction, and part of that is the fact that you have a guy like Lamine Yamal who's providing you service, or at the very least attracting attention away from Lewandowski. And now you look at this team and what they have become with the absence on the left-hand side of Alejandro Balde, because they no longer have that outlet. Rafinha's talking to the inside, and everything. I can guarantee you, and I don't even have to see the heat map. The heat map is all red on the right-hand side, because they're depending upon Lamine Yamal to provide you with that moment. So it's no longer a luxury, oh, we're having the 17-year-old and it's a cute story. No, we need the 17-year-old to produce for us.
Yeah, Jules Kounde is somewhere I want to go to now.
Well, one second, just want to say one last thing on Lamine Yamal. We've seen a few of his interviews recently, and there's a little bit of criticism about one or two of the things he said. I think what we have here is a young man who has supreme confidence in his ability. Supreme. But I don't think that constitutes an arrogance. And that's a big difference, because you can be supremely confident and arrogant. I don't think he is. I think he's supremely confident, but I don't think he's an arrogant young man. And that makes it, I suppose, even more special to see somebody playing like that when you know they're quite grounded. Although he did say some things this week that maybe he'll learn from in terms of beating Real Madrid. But I think in general terms, he's a very grounded young guy.
Frank just said something there that I thought was important, and it is, he hasn't been poisoned by the game just yet, and the environment of the game just yet. It hasn't become a business to him just yet. It's not, it's my ball, and I'm going to play with it. And no, it seems like he is enjoying all of this that is happening, that we seem to be in awe, and he's not in awe. He doesn't seem to be surprised that this is happening. It's like, yeah, this is what I do. So to your point, it's not an arrogance, it's just an acceptance that this is what I'm meant to do, and I will continue to do this because it's a whole lot of fun to do it at the level that I'm doing it.
I would have hated to have seen him in the school team.
Yes. Number one pick.
Frank, imagine all those other kids. Imagine all those other kids. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, it's all very nice. There's some pitfalls will be coming. Maybe one day we'll have to sit here and criticise them. And listen, that will happen. And we won't shirk that responsibility. But you've got to give people credit for doing what they do at any given time, particularly as a youngster. And it's hard not to enjoy what he is delivering, not just for his club, but dare I say it, being a linchpin for the Spanish national team too.
Yes, Frank, not today. We're not criticising this player today. What was it you wanted to say about Lamine Yamal?
No, I don't want to criticise him, of course, but I know already the example that, and it's why I'm not really impressed for what he does, because I exactly had the copy of that with Kylian Mbappe. When he was 17 years old, playing for Monaco, he was like him. He was dribbling everybody, being confident, got the acceptance of his talent without being cocky or whatever. He was absolutely fantastic. And it's what I said when I saw him playing. Say he's having fun. I don't think Kylian Mbappe right now is having fun. It's why I was talking about the business. So one day, we might have to criticize Lamine Yamal because he thinks too much about himself and about the statistics. That's what's going to happen if he doesn't have fun and consider the game differently than now. That can happen.
Team selection at the weekend will be interesting. Playing Rayo Valladolid, who are just awful. They're at home. I think they've played 15 games, Valladolid, in 2025. They've won 1, drawn 1, and lost 13. So he can make a lot of changes to this team. Bearing in mind that it's still a title race, depending what Real Madrid do against Celta Vigo. Barca should beat Valladolid. Now, does he want to play this back four and give them an hour or whatever it is to work as a partnership before the game in Inter, or does he just want to rest players? So that's going to be an interesting team selection, how they're going to go about winning this game at the weekend. And they will win it. But it's how he works with all these players, because he's got a problem, as Ali said, at left back, he's got a problem at right back. Baldy's back, that's not a problem. And this back line is to work as a unit. They've had these 4 players generally for most of the season. So Saturday could almost be, I mean, I don't want to say it could almost be a training game for them, and because they need the 3 points. But he could use it just to completely rotate the rest of the team. But maybe he'll give that back 4 a little run out, thinking about what my back 4 is going to be in Milan in 3 or 4 days. That could be a good opportunity for him.
Would you want that, Frank, as a defender, to get that run out and that practice run?
No, you have to play, and I would have come to the coach. I say, coach, you know, we have 2 guys, you know, sure about themselves. We want to reinsure them and to make sure we understand each other. So we need to play, and the back 4 is capable of doing that. I think Hansi Flick put Kubasi out as well the last, I think, 10 minutes of the game yesterday. But maybe to give him some rest for the next game. But yeah, you have to make sure the back 4 is there, because they have to work together. I almost say train together. They have to work together and play that game together, and you can change the others, because the others will have to run more. But in order to make sure you're capable of accept the pressure of Inter Milan, you need to know each other, you need to work, and it's not because you play on Saturday that you're going to be tired on Tuesday. So I would go for it if I were Hansi Flick.
Because it might be a moot point. Because they might not have to do much defending anyway against Valladolid. So who knows? But all eyes on Tuesday, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Unless they drop a clanger on Saturday.
Yes, well, we're going to find out, aren't we? And we've actually put together a couple of 11s of Paris Saint-Germain. We're going before Luis Enrique, when it was still Christophe Galtier. You'll remember that round of 16 exit to Bayern in the 2023. Look at the names on here. Kylian Mbappe, Lionel Messi, a World Cup winner, obviously a huge superstar as well. You've got Marco Verratti in the midfield there, a Euro winner. Sergio Ramos, albeit being 36 years old at the time, but 22 titles with Real Madrid, 2 Euros with Spain, a World Cup as well. And now we're looking at PSG's starting 11 this week against Arsenal. The names here under Luis Enrique and the change that we've seen in this team. What credit and who are we giving it to for this change? Is it down to Luis Enrique? Is it down to the ownership change in their strategy with PSG? What's the change down to?
Well, you know, I texted Nasser Al-Khelaifi yesterday after his win, and I say, you know, you have a team, and that's what it is. The name, we don't care, and that's what it is. You have a team now. You can play because you know that everybody's going to work defensively and going to work together offensively. I mean, I remember Sergio Ramos coming to Paris Saint-Germain the day before, having a press conference in Madrid, crying about leaving Real Madrid, which I understand, but really not acceptable for the Paris Saint-Germain fans. Like, that was simply a backup at 36 years old. And you had Messi, you had Kylian Mbappe, just thinking about themselves, not defending. Now we see something different. We see the spirit of what we expect from a football team wants to achieve something. That's what it is. And they have a team. And I think Luis Enrique has something to do with it, because he knows, and he did it before with Barcelona, what it takes to get this the atmosphere, the spirit, this ambition. It's everybody working together, and it's what they have right now.
Have you texted anybody?
No. Did you?
No.
No.
I didn't text any owners.
No.
Yeah, if you don't have any friends and you know nobody, what can I do for you? I cannot do anything
friends.
for you.
We don't want to drop you. We don't want to name drop on this show.
It is my old boss, though.
Who is?
Mr. Khalifi.
Should we just sit here? You and Frank can do a show where you just
Text each other. Text it to him.
When he talks about it being a team, is that what we're seeing now? This is players who care for each other, care for the club.
I think Luis Enrique has gone in there and said to the ownership, this is the way we have to do it. This is the best route for success. And it's not about one person. It's about the squad, the team. It's about work rate. It's about belief. It's about the basics of football. And I think they've backed him in that. But I think what he's done with this group of players is immense. Absolutely immense. Yes, Kvaratskhelia is a terrific player. He will walk into almost any team in Europe. So that's a good signing. But getting the best out of Dembele, bringing Dewey in. You've got Barcolo there. You've got Vitinho and João Neves. Marvellous in midfield. Fabian Ruiz. So what Luis Enrique has done, he's manufactured this team on the field in a very, very, I don't know what the word is, compact, pacey, you know, pattern of plays are fantastic. But I think he's also, back in when he first went in there, when he was probably having the fight about who stayed and who goes and who came in, I think they've backed him. They've realised he's a very good manager, very good manager. They've been strong with him and they believed in him. And he knew that having a bunch of superstars was never going to be the recipe, or unlikely to be the recipe for success. And what they have done this season, the trajectory from this kind of average side that, as Frank said, you know, it was hard to see them even at one point being out of the bottom 8 of the Champions League, out of that 36 group team. And this trajectory they've had has been, quite frankly, unbelievable. To go from the mediocrity to easily winning the League One title, but more impressively, how they've gone about the Champions League and the way they've played. The only worry I would have for them was what I saw in the last half an hour at Villa, defensively, or as a shape. That's the only concern. They will outplay Arsenal in Paris. They'll outplay them. They'll create chances. Whether Arsenal can keep a clean sheet, I don't know. That remains to be seen. The one question will be for Paris Saint-Germain is if Arsenal do somehow manage to throw the kitchen sink at them at some point, are we going to see this team that sort of was a rabbit in the headlights at Villa, and it was only the fact Villa completely blew the great chances they created that PSG are actually here. If we see that Paris Saint-Germain side, Arsenal have a chance. If we don't, and we see the side that performed against Liverpool for two legs, I don't see Arsenal beating them.
The turning point really I think, for Luis Enrique must have been, and it's a video that has gone around social media, when he's trying to talk to Mbappe and he brings up the name of Michael Jordan.
It's from his documentary about him.
And the defending aspect of the game. And he's focusing on Mbappe and he's trying to engage Kylian Mbappe, and that didn't work. That didn't work. The message did not come through, or Kylian Mbappe was simply unwilling to take in the message. At that point, I believe Luis Enrique must have said to himself, I can't win with him.
So does this look bad on Mbappe, what we're seeing here, what we've seen with Real Madrid this year and what we're seeing here with PSG now that he's gone?
Well, it doesn't look good. If you're the best player in the world, which some people would say is Kylian Mbappe, and you leave a team, and that team is better without you, and then you go to a team that had won Champions League and had won the league, and that team is now out of Champions League and probably won't win the league, it's not a good look. I'm just saying, from the perspective of Luis Enrique, he said, he may be the best player in the world, but if we're going to win here, and if I'm going to win here, I cannot win with him because he's not buying into what I'm selling. And if a player is going to do whatever he wants, regardless of what the manager is selling to the team, if your best player is not on board, then the rest of the team, they don't get on board either. The truth of the matter is, the best thing that could have happened for PSG, and it sounds crazy to say, is Kylian Mbappe walking out that door, and Luis Enrique, the best thing that could have happened for him is, there goes Kylian, now this is my team. I'm the one making the decisions.
I've got no dog in this race, but there is some sentimental side there. The fact that this man is back managing with what he and his family have been through with the loss of their young daughter is quite amazing. And I think there'd be a lot of happy people. And you can never change what's happened, never. And you can never, ever, ever replace that. But I think if Paris Saint-Germain do win this title, I don't think there's going to be too many people displeased for Luis Enrique, both in a football sense and for what he's been through, because what he's been through with his family, you wouldn't wish on anybody. And he's back managing brilliantly.
4 defeats in 5 in all competitions for Forest. That Champions League dream, as you say, Craig, slipping further away. Officially in 6th right now. Yes, they have dropped out of the top 5. Is it all falling apart for Forest?
Who they got?
Well, they got Leicester, they got West Ham, so they have a chance, is what I would say.
Yeah, it depends on the fixtures, and hands up, all right. If I'd have known we were going to discuss Forest, I may have looked at the fixtures.
It's
but
just a one comment, honestly.
I've been a bit lazy.
It's a
People
one
say he's too
comment.
lazy, didn't even look at the fixtures. Yes, I did. I didn't look
That's
at
all
the
right, that's why I'm here.
I looked at the
Palace,
fixtures.
Leicester,
Now,
West
that
Ham,
must have been a
Chelsea.
moment of boredom. Because when you start looking at Forest fixtures, you know you haven't got a lot going on.
Let's look at what happens. Let's get a,
Why am I taking straight?
Let's get a
What's
comment
Villa's
from Craig.
fixtures? What's Chelsea's fixtures?
Let's get a comment from Craig on whether this is it for them, though, and whether they're falling
I don't
apart.
think Nottingham Forest will make the top 5 now. There are too many better qualified teams around them. Forest have performed well this season, way above expectations. That's why they were where they were and they are where they are now. They were 3rd, 2nd at one point, I think. They're now 6th, but Villa are a better side, Chelsea are a better side, and those are the teams that are in and around them. So I think they've, for want of a better term, cooked their goose.
Oh, cook their goose. There we go. That can be the title of the Forest segment on our YouTube
And
channel.
I still don't know how they're playing in the last 3 games.
Well, I mentioned a couple of them.
It's okay.
I did my work.
Leicester.
He did. And that
West Ham as well.
Right.
Come on, move on.
Okay, there is another game coming up. It's Man City against Wolves coming up. We've got all of your predictions for that game. Don't worry, we're not going to ask you to talk about this game. We just wanted to
I'll talk
show
about that.
you
Wolves are in great form. They won 5 on the
Leave it,
6 on the
leave it.
straight. 5 or 6 on the
Frank
straight.
Leboeuf's not happy with that, but if you'd like to make sure that you get home in time for your grandson's bedtime, let's just show the predictions and say that on tomorrow's
I'll do
show.
well because my grandson lives in Nottingham. Oh, that
no,
grandson?
the other
Oh,
one.
I've got grandsons.
The other one.
I've just got grandsons everywhere.
Yes, everywhere. Yeah, yes, tomorrow they'll be talking about game.
You look
on the
good for a
latest
grandparent.
ESPN FC. It is true. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. We have a rare treat. Craig and Alain for a Europa League day here on ESPN FC. Frank Leboeuf joining us as well.
Not a treat for us.
And lots of questions in from you guys for the panel too. Got them here in my email somewhere.
You sure? Take your time.
I think I'm sure. Here
Don't
they
worry
are.
about it.
Here they are. Mike's got me.
We can have Craig do some more French translation.
Oh, this is a familiar name for number 1. All right, this is what Lamine Yamal looked like at the start of COVID. Is the first, and it's from Bonetti.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Apparently there's a picture, but I don't know if the picture's going to come up with it. There it is. Yeah.
Not having it.
Oh my God.
Well,
So
it
that's
was 12.
That's 2020.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, far more important. Are we accepting your husband's questions because you're hosting the show?
Not. It was an editorial.
Is this
decision,
how
nothing
it
to do
works?
with me.
This is.
There's
He's not even in the States.
There's another
at the
side to
moment.
this. Is
He needs to put the ball away.
what kind of life is he leading?
He's in Miami as
even
well at the moment. He's not
feels
even
the
with us.
need to tweet us in and tell us.
No, he didn't tweet us in. They picked it up off Twitter.
Oh,
did he?
Yeah.
Oh, so this is again.
So
this-
he's putting on Twitter what a 12-year-old.
It went
looks like.
viral today, so I think that the team thought they'd put it on.
What went viral?
This tweet.
But you know, Lamine Yamal 17. COVID was 2020. There's no surprise he looks like a young boy at 12.
Right.
That. How are these things going viral? What does that actually mean? Going viral?
Yeah, what does that mean?
It got lots and lots of retweets and
I tell you what, when I go on Twitter, I don't want anything to go viral. Not that it does anyway. I don't want interaction. I don't want people clicking it. I just don't want it. I want interaction. Most of the people on
Craig,
Twitter
you don't
are
belong to that
morons.
world. You don't belong to that world, so you can't get it.
You're
like
right,
I can't
Frank.
get it as well, you know. And that's what it is. But you know, I think he got older than we did. We didn't change that much, so blame on him.
Just a quick point. So the production team just took it off of your husband's social media.
Randomly.
Right? And he did not include hashtag FC Extra Time. So how does he qualify? Controversy, it has to do, the only reason it happens is because he's your husband. Things need to change around here.
Yeah, like, I don't know. Divorce him.
Wow.
A bit of a stretch.
That's
But, you know, some things need to be done.
I think we're taking a leap here.
Sick of you and your tweeting ways.
I'm only a man that makes suggestions. I don't know. It's your choice. But
While he's going viral, I'll stick with him. But, if the tweets stop performing, I'm out. All right, next question. Next question. Anders, is this...
Think of the money. And the house. The cars. The kids.
Is this the best performance by Manchester United?
I don't know what goes through my mind,
Is this the best performance by Manchester United since Amorim took charge of the club?
Well, they beat Man City away, although they were having a tough time. I think it's difficult. I think the answer is yes in terms of the performance, but it has to be asterisks with the 37th minute red card. So, good. Yeah, very good performance. Obviously, semi-final, but made slightly easier by the game against 10 men.
Okay. What a scene it would be watching Manchester United and Tottenham battle for a Champions League spot next season. Do either deserve it, and who would win? Frank?
We don't know. That's completely unexpected, that's for sure. From two teams who finish, we are right now 15th and 16th in the table. So, but it can be a nice game. I mean, they go for it, and it's a final. Everything can happen. So it can be interesting, and definitely I'm going to watch it because I want to see that. But who's going to win? I would say the less bad, but I don't know. I would go for Manchester United.
You go for Manchester United.
Yeah, but this word deserve. It's an intangible, isn't it? Because if you get to the final and win it, who's to say that you haven't deserved to do that? You might have been pretty bad all season in the Premier League, but if you're getting to a final and winning it, then you've deserved to do that, have you not? You might have carried a bit of luck, but...
Yeah. It's to me, it's kind of like the equivalent when teams do the playoff to get into the Premier League, and that becomes sort of like the most expensive game. Either you stay in the Championship or you go to the Premier League, and they're two bad teams. But the winner of that changes who they are dramatically. It's the same thing here. If indeed it is Spurs against Manchester United, winning Europa League changes how you go about describing your season, the feeling about the club, who do you think you're going to be in the future, at least in the perspective and the perception of your club. I don't know if it changes the reality inside the locker rooms, but it does change how the club is perceived, and the fact that they're going to be in Champions League, then obviously, monetarily, financially makes a huge difference.
Okay. What's the bigger accomplishment? Slot's winning the Premier League in his first season, or Amorim winning the Europa League in less than a year with United?
No, Slot winning the league. 38 games. Unexpected. Not a lot of transfer activity. Okay, Man City fell away and Arsenal were not as strong, but the damage was done in the first 6 months. When those teams were a little stronger, Liverpool did the damage then. They grabbed the baton and they went out steaming out in front, and the rest of them couldn't catch up. So I would say that because it's a longer period, the 38 games, I would say Arne Slot. What was that there, Joanne?
Yeah, I'm just checking that
Yeah,
everybody
move
would
on.
agree. Yeah,
Move on.
Yeah, all right.
Okay.
How much do you think removing the away goal contributed to Champions League games being more open and entertaining?
Well, I would suggest once Inter scored their first goal yesterday, a minute in, if we were back in the days of the away goal rule, I don't think Inter comes out of their defensive third the rest of the match. And even if they lose the match 2-1, even if they're still coming out of Barcelona feeling a whole lot better about themselves than losing the match outright without scoring an away goal. And at 2-1, they're like, well, we win at home 1-0, and that's it. That's all it takes. I think it changes how teams approach the way that they play, and it would have been more unlikely to see a 3-3 open match like we saw yesterday back in the day of away goal rules.
Okay. Anybody want the away goal rule back? No, Frank?
No.
No.
I
Alright.
think it's very good like that because it's not done yet. So you have to work hard.
Frank, Chelsea is on the verge of becoming the first club to winning all 3 European club tournaments at least once. How do you feel about this?
I don't know what to think about the Conference League tournament, I have to say. You know, I'm French, but we have to stay humble about that competition a little bit, even if I'm happy for the fans and I'm happy for the players because it's always a line in your resume, so it's always good to have that in your pocket and to say that I want something in Europe. So it's good for the confidence of the club and the players and the young players. So it's good to win the Conference League. Hopefully they're going to win maybe the Europa League next season and maybe the Champions League after that. But I don't know. It's good for the statistics. It's good for the fans. For me, it doesn't really mean a lot because it's different players. So it's good for the club. Let's say it's only good for the club.
How is it a good thing for Chelsea that they are in the Conference League? How can you spin that as a
Well, now
positive?
that they are, you might as well win it.
Yeah, well, that's the only thing that you can say about it. But there is a reason as to why you're in that competition to begin with. And so, yeah, while you're in it, you should be beating Djurgården. You should. You're Chelsea, one of the most powerful brands in the world. You should be winning this competition. What you shouldn't be is in this competition to begin with.
I mean, the winning the Conference League, I believe, gets you into the Europa League for next year.
Yes.
But what's saving his bacon, the manager, is getting into the Champions League, which is the league position. And if they finish 7th, 6th or 7th, again, we'll be having some sort of discussion at the end of the season about how the Chelsea board view that and whether winning this competition that they should have done is anything to go by, which I don't really think anybody would see it that way. So it's almost a kind of distraction in a sense. And he'll still play some of his French players because it's all about the league position. That's the only thing he goes to his board and says, this is progression.
Well, as you know, it's become a daily discussion now on this show about the 5th spot in the Premier League.
Well,
yes. And the next question
Doesn't have to be.
It just keeps going that way, even the questions in extra time. Will the 5th spot be captured by the team who stumbles the least? It's hard to imagine Forest, Chelsea or Villa going on a run and seizing it.
Well, Villa were on a run. I suppose it came off a little. The wheels came off in the FA Cup semi-final, but they've been on a good run to an extent in the league. I don't really have much confidence in any of them, to be honest. If I'm being frank about it, I've no idea who's going to end up in there. I don't know. And can I whisper it? I don't think any of us care.
Don't say that. It's a regular segment now. Tomorrow it'll be the same question.
It better not be.
Every time I've been on, I've had to ask it.
I'm on tomorrow. For some reason, my Thursday, Fridays, days off, I've been kiboshed.
That's what happens when you go on vacation.
No, it's
Suddenly
not.
you
And
come
in
back
fact-
and you hit the ground running.
What's that?
Have you noticed that? When you go on vacation here, you come back and you hit the ground running.
Momentum.
I know, it's almost like it's almost like a vacation here is a punishment.
You said it.
I'll say it.
Yes.
It's like, oh, you've been on vacation.
Get to work.
Get in here, talk. Come back the next day, talk. Come back the next day, come back the next day. And I'm going to check my schedule because the schedule's out for next week.
I know.
And there's a next day and there's a next day for me.
I
And
know.
if there's a next day and a next day, there's going to be a big problem.
You've got a very early wake-up call on Sunday.
Yeah, I know
Just
that.
putting it out there.
I know that.
Okay.
I know that.
All right.
Not that early.
It's quite early. Well, not when you've got a baby grandson at home. It's not that early at all. Anyway, that will do it for the latest edition of Extra Time. Thank you so much for sending in your questions, and even those of you who didn't send in your questions and still featured on the show.